Hey guys, I just finished up my workout and I was in my garage gym and thinking about a conversation I had earlier in the group about kettlebell swings, and just wanted to go over a couple of tips because, as some of you know personally, they can be an exercise that can leave your back feeling pretty rough, and that's not because the exercise is inherently dangerous. It's because the movement pattern is unfamiliar and it can be a challenge to do it correctly and not kind of default back to more familiar patterns like a squat. So I figured while I was out here and sweaty, I might as well go over a couple of tips that helped me learn the swing and that I use with clients to help them perfect it as well. So as you may have guessed by that intro, the kettlebell swing is a hip hinge movement. And what I see in a ton of people, in clients when I first have them do them, in people at the gym practicing them, is that we tend to kind of default to a squat pattern. And I'll be demonstrating the difference in a minute here. Bear with me, I just set up my tripod kind of randomly, so I may have to play around with the lighting and make sure that you can actually see the body parts I need you to. But so that's one of the big things, is that the momentum from the swing should be generated from the hips, and you want to have contact between your forearms and your hips to transfer that energy. Where, like I said, where I see a lot of people go wrong is doing kind of a squat into a front raise or some kind of like hybrid movement that leaves your lower back pretty vulnerable. So let me see if I stand up right here. This should be able to do it. So if I turn to the side, I'm going to do my regular squat first. So that's just dropping straight down in between my legs, basically. That one's more similar to what you would do when you're like sitting down in a chair, basically a super low chair. So the difference with a hip hinge is that you want the movement initiated from your hips, not your knees. So just by nature of your anatomy, your knees are going to bend a little bit, but you want the movement to be starting at the hips. So that looks like that. So you see the hips are just going back a little bit, the knees are bending as a result of that, but you're not dropping down nearly the same way that you are. In the hip hinge, your back is staying, your back is coming more to like a 45-degree angle, whereas when you're squatting, you're trying to keep it very upright. So one drill that I find super useful with clients, let me see if you can still see me here, yeah, is to ignore the TRX straps, is to stand maybe like 6 inches at first from a wall and just practice sending your hips back till it touches, squeezing your butt forward, sending your hips back, thrusting your butt forward. So with that, your weight is going to be back on your heels. I know I'm a little backlit, sorry. Your weight's going to be going back on your heels, and you're really looking for that flat back position that you're really loading your glutes and your hamstrings. And then when you come forward, when you thrust your hips forward like I was just doing, that's the power that generates the swing. So to show you that again, you're going to start off maybe 6 inches, maybe a foot in front of a wall. You're going to stick your butt out till it touches, so you have a nice flat back, and then thrust forward. When you can do it there, take a little more step forward, thrust back, or hinge back, thrust forward. Okay, so that's probably the best. How's that for a background? It's not bad out here, huh? I'm just trying to get it so that you can see me a little bit. So that's the difference, that's the motion that you want to be doing. So I'm going to show you now the swing, and then I'm going to show you what I see, or let me first show you what I see in the gym often, and then I'll show you the correct form. So this first one is what you do not want to be doing. So let me see if you see my kettlebell here? Yeah, so what you don't want to do is anything like that, where you're kind of very awkwardly doing a combination of a squat and a hinge, and you don't have a lot of momentum, so you're having to physically move the kettlebell with your arms, which is not what you want to do. So you want to start off, you want to make a triangle, you want to have the kettlebell be the top of your triangle, and then your feet be the bottom two parts. You're gonna get both hands on it, so you've got a nice flat back, your hips are loaded, so you have a little twerky motion. All right, so you're gonna bring this back, thrust forward. So what you should have seen there is maintaining a flat back, keeping my hips relatively high, loading my hamstrings, slight bend in the knees, and I don't know if you could tell from that angle, but my forearms were coming to physically touch the inside of my mid-thigh, so that on the way up, the thrust from my hips transfers directly into my forearms, which is what helps raise the kettlebell up. So the swing is not an arm exercise. It's total body, it's metabolic, but it is focusing on the hips and the hamstrings. So it may help to either video yourself. That would be my top suggestion, is because if you're doing it in a mirror, just by nature of trying to look in the mirror, you're going to be throwing off your form a little bit. So maybe test out the drill that I showed you, but up to the wall. You can test that with a mirror pretty well, but don't hesitate to set your phone up somewhere or ask somebody to record you just so you can see what it is that you're doing. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Hope you're having a great Liberty Day weekend.